racing or rally driving has always been my interest. So like I say, maybe about 10 years ago, I decided to participate in the local sports here because, as you know, we don't have a racetrack here in Singapore. So the only thing we can do is a car park rally. Car park rally, as you know, we go in one car at a time, and because it's not more on speed, high speed racing, but more on skill. So that's the thing I like about rally driving. Is more on skill rather than high speed. So it's totally safe. I mean, as you can see, then no serious accident happened. I mean, since we started this sport in Singapore years ago. Let me show you the interior of my race car. This is the fuel pressure, the oil pressure, and the oil temperature. This switch here is for the water spray. Basically, the water spray sprays mist onto the intercooler, thus keeping the engine cooler. This gear knob is specially made. The weight is much heavier than a normal gear knob, so during gear change it feels more positive.
We work on the engine according to the rally specs and to our regulation in Singapore here, like the original air intakes, you know, and then try to maximize the performance of this engine as much as possible to the spec which required here. And then the most important thing is the reliability of the engine, and then the chassis strengthened with the roll cage, undercarriage all well done, and with all the roll joints, and then with a good set of suspension, good set of lightings for the night rally.
Every night for 2 weeks, we don't have enough sleep. We don't have enough sleep because we go a lot of recce. We need to practice how are we going to call the navigator. She's going to call, make sure that I know what is he saying and what kind of turn, all this. We recce the ground, a week we'll prepare the car, service, check the gears, the clutch, everything, oil, everything, temperature of the car, water temperature, oil temperature, we check.
been quite interesting because I started off in motorcycles, then I got into car rallying as a navigator, then as a driver, then as a navigator again, and then I gave up the sport for some time when I moved to Singapore to concentrate on the business. And then I got back into the sport about 10 years ago here in Singapore, and in that time I've raced and rallied in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and thoroughly enjoyed it, particularly here in Singapore where we've had a fair bit of success. However, these rallies here in Singapore in the car parks are extremely challenging. You have to have the right car, you have to have the car prepared correctly, you must drive it properly, your navigator plays a role. It's a combination of everything, and everything must click for you to be successful. This car is a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 5, which we've upgraded to an Evo 6. We've modified the engine from 280 horsepower up to around 400 horsepower, so it performs extremely well. We've done a fair bit of work on the suspension. We've changed the struts and shock absorbers. We're running the big Brembo brakes. They're actually off an F40 Ferrari, and the stopping power of this car is exceptionally good. We spent a lot of time getting the balance of the suspension correct, the front-rear balance, so that the car doesn't understeer, it doesn't oversteer, that it's a very balanced car to drive, and that particularly helps us in the wet. If you've got a car that's not handling right in the wet, then you're in big trouble. So that's basically the car. I call these my night spectacles. There's roughly 600 watts of light here on these 4 lamps, and very essential when you're travelling quick at night, just be able to see where you're going.
The Mini is small, handling is pinpoint, goes where you want, basically a point and accelerate kind of thing. And then the car basically just goes around corners and you feel as though you're in full control. For such an old design, the car really works in our Kallang car parks. We have got better brakes than the original cars. Power-wise, we're still running something like 30-40 bhp, which is, I would say, maybe about 10% compared to the WRXs and Airbus. We have the advantage of weight in that in the Kallang car parks, we are not restricted. We are not required to have a minimum weight. So we have lightened the cars to make our cars a bit more competitive. We have a small mini club in Singapore where we organize a lot of our own events. And in fact, we just had a mini birthday just about 1 week ago. Had about a group of 50 guys there with all of their minis and all the different colors. And yeah, the mini scene in Singapore is good. The whole setup of the car is very basic. Pedals are the same. The gear stick. We have a all gauge, temperature gauge, and a speedometer. But the driver mainly, to the driver, the main gauges are the temperature gauge and the tachometer. Because this tells you the temperature the engine is running at, and also how hard you're actually pushing it. The car doesn't have normal glass. We changed all these burst specs. This helps to lighten up the overall weight of the car. Bodywork is original. We haven't lightened the shell in any way. Over at the back, okay, we have the rear anti-roll bar under the car. This helps the car to turn in a bit faster, especially in the car park rallies. So steering is not just done by the front but by the rear as well. Sort of like a 4-wheel steering.
Definitely, I'm pretty disappointed with what has happened this morning. Well, maybe next round we'll come in with better preparations for the car, hardware, everything. I think basically my driving more or less is there. The car setup is much more improved. Maybe we have to do something about the hardware.
Front and back, the car park app, I feel you were there. Very sure. Because I just started you on
Actually, I bought this car. It wasn't for racing, it's actually for like daily use. But then it's like I went down to the Kallang race and see like the Subarus and the Evo has a big advantage. And from then on, I took part. So I learned from Ben, Bill, and Leslie. They actually taught me a lot from the first time I started racing. They always tell me one thing: be gentle on the car. To finish first you have to finish. Practicing has always been a problem, a very big problem, because it's like you are not allowed to practice on the road or in the car park. You see. So the only time we can practice is during races. That is when we do our practice and we improve from every races. Usually when there's no races, I feel the urge to speed on the road. Some people they drive beautiful cars to discos or something, right? But in a discos, you don't drive the car into the disco and stand beside and at the car to hook up girls. You see, I mean you go inside to the disco and you hook up girls on your own. You see, it's like after that when the girls come out, they see. I mean, if you drive them back, then it's like maybe they are impressed by a little bit more or something like that. I bought this spoiler. Okay, It was the only piece in Singapore which is adjustable, as you can see from here. Okay, on these two plates. When the car is at high speed, okay, the wind force will just push the rear down because the car tends to float. So when the wind, it depends on the aerodynamic of the wind. So it will push the force of the car down the back to get maximum grip on the ground. The difference between race tires and normal road tires are race tires have softer compounds, okay, but they wear out much faster than normal road use tires. Because if they have softer compound, they have maximum grip on the ground when the tire is heated up.
When I first started 6 years ago, I started at a time when navigation was also quite important.
we had tulips. The navigator was more involved. And then after a while, it became rather easy. And over the last couple of races, it has become more interesting again. With difficult patterns, different SSs, confusing patterns. And all this has been actually very good. It just brings us to a next level of competition.
Well, this event I think very well organized, and it's tough for the drivers, tough for the car, and also I think very tough for the navigators. And I think part of the game is to listen well to the navigator's call. That was why we came in second partly. It was my fault that I didn't listen to his command well enough. So we got a slight mistakes and we got to spin the car back, back to the right track. Well, it's part of the rally. You know, there's so much uncertainty. It's a precision sport, apart from the budget, and I think also man, machine, and coordination.
The lady first. They cannot run away one now.
Well, obviously very excited. We came here hoping for success. Didn't really think we could win it 5 years in a row, but well, we did, and we managed to, and very elated, very happy.
Happy, surprised, and it was a good run.
Well, I go back to Australia in a week's time after the auto saloon.
And I go back to work.